All right, good morning, everybody. I am applying some Osmo Topx. Let's see, what do we have on there? Topx oil. It's the first time that I've used the Topx. It's food safe, which is really nice. I like it. I'm not in love with it. I think if I thinned it out, it would be a lot easier to apply. It goes on really, really thick. It's the consistency of honey, thick honey. Before, I'd used wipe-on poly, not the kind that you buy, the kind that you just make yourself. You get a container of poly, and I thin it down heavy. And for me, that is the secret to a really good finish, is very thinned down polyurethane. Because the problem that everybody runs into with finish with polyurethane is it all comes too thick. It all comes too thick. It should never be put on under any circumstances full strength. That's the opinion that I have, and it could just be my area. But the problem is when you put on the polyurethane, the film, see, it dries. When it's exposed to oxygen, it dries. All of the solvents flash off. Those solvents create bubbles in the finish. The problem is polyurethane, when it's full strength, creates a crust, and then the bubbles get trapped in the crust, or worse yet, they just escape the surface, so it creates a little crater. And that's horrible. That'll just ruin your finish. And so what I do is for my first coat especially, I will thin that polyurethane down 60-70%. And it goes on, and all that mineral spirits, all of that flashes off. And the polyurethane remains in the wood because it's thinned out so much that, the mineral spirits, they create a little bit of heat, but these solvents, they have weaker chemical bonds than other liquids. And so they want to turn into gas. That the movement of those molecules creates a little bit of heat that just helps that polyurethane get into the wood. And then I'll do 2, 3, 4 coats. And you might think that's a lot of work, but it's not, because your coat of polyurethane is going to dry within a half hour. And then I use steel wool, or these really great pads that I found. They're like 800 grit, non-friable. They don't break apart. Steel wool will kind of break down. That stuff stays together. It's like a very, very fine Scotch-Brite pad. And so I do probably 10, 15 coats. And then towards the end, I'll be working with maybe mineral spirits thinned down to, 30%, something like that. So you get gradually thicker, you build up a finish. And after you do that, I promise you, you will never use full strength polyurethane again. You will never do it, because the finish is beautiful. It's crisp. It doesn't attract dirt, and if you work like me, you're in a small shop. I don't have dust control or ventilation or anything. All of the dust in the air just settles, and if your finish is wet and thick, it just settles right in. But if it dries quickly, like that thin down polyurethane, it's just a great finish. I didn't want to turn this into a dissertation on finishes, but I have had the greatest success with thinned down polyurethane, and I do it on all my furniture projects. I've never had an issue. It is virtually infinitely repairable too. You don't have to, you just apply more poly, you clean off the surface, and then you apply more thin polyurethane. There you go. It's amazing. Works to blend it in. It's the best. But the thing is, it's not really food safe. And if I was going to do a very heavy use application, I don't know that it would be the best for that. And so for these countertops, I went with that Osmo, which I've heard really good things about, but it suffers from the same problem as polyurethane. It's just too thick. It dries, the top dries too fast, and then everything underneath can't really evaporate the way that it wants to. But yeah, how did we get here? I feel like that's just kind of my life, though, is how did we get here? It's for so many different things. I'll tell you what, my life, this world has not made any sense to me since about 2016. And if I'm really honest with myself, I think that at times when I thought it made sense, I was either ignorant or stupid. Not to be rude, but I had no grasp on it at all. I don't know. I don't understand anything anymore. But in that vein, this is kind of where I wanted to get. I wanted to share something that brought me a measure of peace this week, thinking about, it's okay that nothing makes sense. It's not supposed to. I don't think that we are called upon to make sense of the world. It never will, because of the nature of humanity. I don't think it will ever make sense. And I have a number of very difficult issues in my life right now that I'm thinking through. And I want to make the right decision. And just as important as making the right decision, I want to do it for the right reasons. And, in thinking through all of this, there's a couple of people out there that I think are just a quiet source of guidance. I don't believe in, you can't shove anything down anybody's throat. Evangelism to an extent. You can't preach to people that don't want to hear it. You just have to be a constant source of example. Not that I am, but for these other people, they've been that to me. Steady, there when you're ready to hear the message, and in my searching, I heard the message, and I thought that was kind of special. But I was reading Ecclesiastes today, and I know everybody's going to switch off now, but if you have a sense of turmoil in your life, maybe this is for you, because it was for me this week. We think this is King Solomon, who historically, I don't know anybody that says he didn't exist. But not even the most ardent anti-religious people would say that. So this is, we think, King Solomon writing. And he says in Ecclesiastes 9:11, he says, "I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happens to them all." I just think that spoke to me. That really spoke to me. It did. There is such an unpredictability to life. Nothing makes sense. Effort doesn't seem to be rewarded in the same way as maybe it used to be. Knowledge and wisdom and understanding and strength, that doesn't quite carry the same correlation to success and peace in life that it used to. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that every day. And now that I have kids, my kids are not that young anymore. My oldest is 9. He's going on 10. And I tell you what, that's that borderline between boy and man. I mean, it really is, because you're still very much a child, but at the same time, you're kind of looking at them like, man, when did you get muscles like that? It's like, you're supposed to be a toddler, that I carried around on my shoulders. And now he's just this kid that's capable of helping me with things. And nothing quite impresses on me that time is passing like watching my kids grow. And I feel like as a father, I have to make things make sense. And then I have to then relay that to my kids. But I have to tell you, I'm a millennial. I'm turning 35. I graduated high school into the Great Recession. And just as I thought I was getting a handle on things, COVID hit, and nothing's the same, and I don't know enough to make sense of it for me, much less for anybody else, or how to prepare a young man to enter this new world that we have. I think the Great Reset already happened, guys. I mean, I really do. And if we all know about it, that's just taking a victory lap. They don't even mind telling us about it because it already happened. And I don't know what to make of that, but I can't make sense of anything anymore, but I don't have to. It's been like this the whole time. it's okay not to know. It's okay not to have any answers, as long as we keep looking for those answers. So I don't know if any of this is helpful to anybody out there, or maybe this is just gonna blow up my channel. I did a short on something that I kind of thought would just be a little silly short, and it ended up going viral. And so I have a whole bunch of new subscribers. So maybe this is the thing that loses all of them and kind of brings the channel back to where it should be. Doing axes and knife content with the occasional religion and philosophy mixed in between. So I don't know. Guys, hope you find your peace, and I'll catch you for the next one.